Stonehenge, a world-famous enigma. But we're not going to let it remain a total mystery, because we're going to take you right into the secrets of the stones.
Back 4,000 years or so ago, Stonehenge really was central to life here in southern UK, but that world is gone forever. If we really want to understand Stonehenge, really want to grasp its essence, we got to find a way to get that world back.
As I uncover the truth about Stonehenge, I'll be passing the facts to our team of special effects wizards. Colin.
And it's working.
Neil. And Steve.
This is probably going to work.
Action.
They're going to recreate the history the cameras missed, bringing Stonehenge's most dramatic moments back to life. We are making history. So, let me introduce you.
There she be.
Meet Stonehenge, the world's most iconic prehistoric temple. It was built between 3,500 and 5,000 years ago. The huge stones you're seeing here are known as the Great Sarsen Stones. They are massive. The largest are 23 feet high and weigh more than 40 tons. Raising the 75 Sarsen stones was one of the ancient world's greatest feats of engineering.
What we need actually is a rope ladder.
Our graphic experts are going to show you how they did it. But first, we need to know why.
There's one thing that everyone agrees on when it comes to Stonehenge.
This is a machine that catches the sun. Wow.
In summer, it points to the rising sun.
Then in that direction, you'd have seen the sun rising.
You are saying, okay, sun, thank you very much.
What was it with these people in the sun?
Stonehenge was designed to lie along the axis of the sun. At midwinter sunset, the sun would have dropped dramatically between the uprights of the largest stone structure, the Great Trilithon. At midsummer sunrise, it shines directly into the heart of the temple. To find out why the sun was so important to the people who built Stonehenge, I'm going to see Dr. Alison Sheridan, an expert in the graves and the belief systems of prehistoric people.
What was it with these people in the sun?
It's because the sun gives you the heat that makes your crops grow, yeah, and it's the heat to keep you warm. So, to me, it's not surprising that they should be, you could say, worshipping the sun.
Experts believe that the winter solstice at Stonehenge was especially important because it marks the point in the year at which the sun begins to return.
We know that it would have been a kind of a spiritual magnet. People would come to Stonehenge from far and wide. It would have been a major gathering place, particularly at winter solstice time.
So can you sort of tell me, in your imagination, what would midwinter be like?
Well, it's been suggested that the whole day on midwinter solstice would have involved processing along the river and then up a ceremonial avenue. And as you get to the top, you witness the sun setting within the sort of square window. It's almost like a television screen that's made by the tallest trilithon.
So, the Great Sarsen Stones aren't just the walls of the temple. They were erected to capture the power of the sun. Now, Steve, Colin, and Neil are going to try and recreate the incredible process of raising the Sarsen Stones.
Get those groups really bunched up.
They're going to reach into their bag of graphic tricks, and using green boards and computer wizardry, they'll bring this amazing event to life.
You want to see the stone get raised.
Right. To me, is the thing. Is that the idea?
Just to make things tougher, the boys are doing double duty. As well as directing the graphic recreation, they're appearing on camera as prehistoric builders. Unfortunately, they don't share the original builders' enthusiasm for the sun.
This morning's been good. It started off freezing cold, and then it's now roasting, and the reenactors are currently getting sunburned. Colin and I are extremely hot because we're wearing waders and wellies underneath togas and fur hats, so it's getting quite uncomfortable.
I need to help them out by gathering some facts, so I'm going to talk to Mike Pitts, who has excavated twice at Stonehenge. When I asked him how Stonehenge was built, Mike told me that we need to think outside of the box and look all the way to Sumba in Indonesia, where they still build monuments Stone Age style.
This is a megalithic tomb on Sumba. You can see it's quite a simple affair. Now this capstone is big enough to be comparable to some of the big stones here at Stonehenge, particularly the lintels, the horizontal stones. Now, I've got a couple of photographs here of stones actually being moved on Sumba. The impression you get with these is of an affair where you have large numbers of people, almost chaotic looking scene. And I think that's the image we need to carry with us when we think about how this monument behind me was built.
And the boys have to create this image with limited resources.
We've got 9 Stone Age men to pull the rope up, and we're going to be basically moving them back again and again and again to make it look like there's maybe 150 people. Because of the impracticality of having a 20-foot sarsen rock on the chute, we've decided to do it in the computer, which is much easier to move around because there's nothing here.
Julian Richards is an expert on the construction of Stonehenge. I asked him to paint us a picture of a stone-pulling team arriving on site.
If you were standing here, the first thing you'd have seen was over the horizon appearing a very large group of straining, sweating people. This is the last bit, this is the last pull, you know, that sense of when you can put the ropes down and say, it's here.
Cut! So what do we need to do now?
As a prehistoric builder, this was one of my most important tools, the antler pick. Chunk of red deer antler, because of course this is what you dig the hole that the stone is going to go in with.
If we tried using an antler pick, we'd never get this stone up, so we're taking a shortcut with shovels. Now we're ready to begin raising the stone.
You drag the stone up towards the hole, you ramp one side of it, so you've got to somehow find a way of tilting it into the hole. Then you're going to end up with it at an angle of probably something like this. You've then got to get it completely upright, and this is where we think that they probably used something like an A-frame.
I passed over Julian's instructions, and the boys have built their own A-frame.
The A-frame is essentially a big lever that helped hoist up our stone that's currently not over there.
Hold it, hold it.
This is probably going to work, I hope, otherwise we don't get lunch.
In this direction, you'd have had a wooden structure with ropes attached to it to multiply the force of people pulling to drag this stone finally into its upright position. Making sure that stone was upright and settled was quite an alarming moment.
Our A-frame has given the boys the last shots they need to show us a great sarsen stone being raised. So, all they need to do now is pull together this complex, multi-layered graphic. 200 stone pullers, 150 stone raisers, and a 3D 23-foot rock. But before the boys finally make history by bringing the construction of Stonehenge to life, there's still one thing bothering me.
Stonehenge is one of the most impressive engineering feats of the Neolithic. That's a given, no argument. My question is simple. Why? Why?
Why would the average person sign up to such an enormous and time-consuming task? I'm going back to Alison Sheridan to find out.
Okay, guys?
Do you think that the average person would be totally gung-ho to be part of this?
Yes, absolutely, because essentially what they were doing in making the sarsen Stonehenge was a very definitive statement about we are devoting all this time and effort, and the effort of a large number of people, to make this thing which will act as a way of catching the sun so that we'll all be all right forever.
The boys are now ready to show us how experts believe Britain's greatest prehistoric temple was built.
There is this very, very clear sense that they're taking part in something that is much, much bigger than them. They're not building a housing estate, they're building a cathedral.
When that first one went up, there would have been this wonderful outpouring. It works, we've done it. We're going to build the rest of it and create Stonehenge.
The process of constructing Stonehenge involves thousands of people. It's great spectacle, it's great ritual. The finished monument itself is spectacular. Somebody has had their name written into the landscape for eternity.
When you visit Stonehenge, it's the great Saracen stones that strike you first. They are majestic, but they only made up about half the stones at the site. Within the Saracens are a ring and horseshoe of smaller rocks, the bluestones. The bluestones have always been something of a mystery. We're about to uncover the extraordinary story of how they got to Stonehenge and what power they brought with them. The 80 blue stones were erected sometime between 2700 and 2300 BC. Over the years, their significance had been forgotten, but in April 2008, they began to give up their secrets. When Professor Tim Darvill ran the first excavation in the Stonehenge Circle in over 40 years. Tim dug down to the Stonehenge layer. This is the original floor of Stonehenge. He discovered a huge number of bluestone flakes. Tim believes that the people who built Stonehenge thought the bluestones had magical powers, and that they used these chippings to harness the magic for themselves. This magic inspired an incredible prehistoric feat, because to get to Stonehenge, the bluestones had to be brought more than 250 miles from Carnmenon in the Preseli Mountains of Wales. The Bluestone journey gives us an amazing insight into Stonehenge people.
I think the key to getting Stonehenge is going to be getting my mind into the headspace of the people who built it.
The arduous journey of the Bluestones is the perfect opportunity for us to do this. The boys' challenge is to recreate this epic prehistoric journey. You're going to see a tribe from Stonehenge arrive at Carnmenon, quarry a 5-ton bluestone, and take it on the agonizingly difficult and dangerous journey back home. My job is to find out how the bluestones got to Stonehenge and what magic they brought with them. So I've come to Wales to meet Tim Darvill.
Why would they come from Salisbury Plain way up here? What is it about this place, about the stone here in particular, that would have resonated with them?
Well, Carnmenon was in a way one of those magic mountains, sacred mountains for these Neolithic people. And the stones themselves seem to have been really important to them because of their healing properties. And here in Wales, that really revolves around the idea that there are sacred springs, holy wells, healing springs coming out of the rock.
According to local tradition, the bluestone springs of Carnmenon can cure. Early histories of Stonehenge tell us that the bluestones there were believed to have the same powers. Tim and I have arrived at Carnmenon, the exact spot where the bluestones were quarried more than 4,000 years ago. The boys need to recreate this scene, so I've asked Tim to explain the dangers of quarrying a real bluestone.
I think when they were up here, they would have been taking risks in getting up onto the rock.